And welcome. This is the Revanchisms tutorial on automated farms. So here, yeah, I know I accidentally broke it. There we go. Here we have a sugarcane farm. A little button right here. You press it. There you go. Pops all of the growth off, proving you only need one layer. Now let's go ahead and get into how do I make this. The same thing we did with the gates. If you haven't seen the video, go back and watch it. You just basically have a repeater going in and a piece of redstone connecting it. The reason why this is here is just to make sure the signal is long enough to reach all of that. And it's also to make sure that it's a fresh signal from this, so I can get the most length out of it. And this side's just the exact same thing. And if we look over here, the button is on the direct opposite side of that wire. So, there you go. And in addition to that, let's take a look at ignore this for now, I'm going to come back to that. A top-down view. Okay, so there's the button, and a line, the repeater, your actual machine. You actually refresh the signal here because that will die at that length right there. And then I want to make sure that this will reach all of these, so I just refresh the signal. You could do this a different way. You could do this very much like this way over here, but minus this and this, and instead with this. That way when you flip this, that turns on. But because what I'm doing with these pistons is when they're extended, they're holding back water, I want them to be on always. So I'm just going to put an inverter here. The way we invert a signal is we basically have something that's on all the time directly connected to a block that redstone signal is going to go onto. So this is technically at this height level, and it's going to go straight into this, which is going to disable this, because when redstone torches get a redstone signal, they turn off. So you could do this the same way as the sugarcane farm, where basically you just have a lever, but what that would require would basically be this. And then this signal right here could, just like what we did back here, come out here, down here, and feed back in on this side. So you don't have to have this chunk, and you could only use this. That would work too. I just figured I'd give a second example. Basically the idea for what I'm doing here is you just want the pistons extended at all times until you flip the switch. See? When the redstone signal goes straight into here, it triggers. Now this torch needs to be on this block, because if it's here, the signal isn't sending it to this, because this is now connected to the block below it, not to the block next to it. So put it on the block next to it, and it'll work. Okay, now let's take a look and see actually how that works in practice. Now I did find a couple problems with this one. Take for instance, I think there's a new code where if it's not bright enough or something, that the wheat dies and breaks itself off. So make sure you have a couple torches in here too. Otherwise you'll come back and find absolutely nothing because the crop didn't grow. Now the other thing is you could use a button for this, but I'm going with a lever because a button wouldn't keep this water on for this long. And what I'm essentially doing is I'm keeping it on until everything gets into the middle. Just like that. And then I flip it off, which closes up the water again. And then this will literally just put it all in one area. So we got quite a lot from that. Okay, moving on to the next farm, we have the cactus farm. This is the probably lowest tech version of an automated farm. Basically, cactuses cannot grow next to a solid object. So if we were to, I don't know, grow this up, and you saw what happened. So what basically happens is when it grows, it'll check and see if something's there, and if it is, it'll automatically break itself, which will give you basically your cactus. So what I'm basically doing here is I have a water source block here, which is funneling through all of this and into one central point. Now you can combine the different chambers, and they all feed down. See, we already got another one. They all feed down into a central point, and you can stack this as high as you want to. I do have one thing to say about it though. It's very resource intensive, and it's passive, which means that you'll have a lot of locked entities filling up your world, and unless if you're there all the time to catch it, it's not really the best way to do it. Now this design over here is actually not my design. I could not come up with a better one. This is actually Automator MC's cactus farm design, and I'll be linking his channel for a couple more videos about like watermelon farms and pumpkin farms. He did wonderful jobs on those. I really could not find a way, as hard as I tried, to make an improvement on them. So I'll just be linking his channel for this. What you basically have here is you have one platform. Okay? Now make sure that these have holes next to them so that the cactus can fall down. Now on that same level, the same level as you have that base of stone, you have this base right here. If you want to let me up. And you have a redstone torch. That redstone torch goes up into this one, which is then defaulted as off, because the block below it is getting redstone power. So this will be off until we press that button. Now you can continue to expand this upwards. Just keep in mind that the one that you need to have off is the one with the pistons. So we would have to skip this row. And we could build more pistons at this level. Now what that would mean is, let's see, I got stone, sand, cactus. So 3 levels below that. 1, 2, 3. Sand, cactus. Yep. And that would be right here. So you would have to build the next base level at this height. And you'd probably just wall these up to that point. So it's not very space efficient, but it's definitely efficient for farming cactuses. Now let's give it a shot. Also, make sure you put water down here so it all funnels to one point. That way you can be kind of lazy. Okay, so when we push the button, this torch goes off, which then allows the one above it to turn on, which then turns on the pistons. Okay? And then all the cactus falls, and then they get caught here, and we get a hold of them. That's why we have holes on each side of them, and the pistons will just basically knock them all off. So we have a total of 3, 6, 9, 12. So since we're getting 2 at a time, we have a maximum of 24, and we just got, let's say, 10. So it's not the best, but it's a lot better than coming and getting 1 or 2 from that. Okay, let's go ahead and move over here on my illustration. Now this right here is a perfect system. So if you would, there's no way of this possibly ever, even with user error, getting messed up. You turn it on, the piston comes on. You turn it off, and the repeaters do their thing, and the piston turns off. Now, if you're ever having problems with the gate that I just discussed, make sure that this is not feeding back into this. Okay, I'll talk about that in just a second. Let me get a good example of that first. Okay, so it's on, and I just turned that off. So why is it still on? Oh, this signal right here is coming back over here and feeding it again. So this will never turn off. This is now bugged. So in order to remove that, the signal's coming out of this repeater system right here. So now it's been reset. Now if I just do a short one like this, it won't have any problems. No problems at all. Or if I wanted to make something like Christmas lights, I think I messed that up. There we go. Okay, well, it's not working now. It was working beautifully earlier, but I think I messed with the repeaters and it messed it up or something. I'll figure out why I can't get the Christmas lights to work. I'll have that update for you later. I think you'll think it looks really cool when I finally get that done. And it's nighttime. Let me sleep and continue. There we go. Okay. So, over here, if we have this getting jammed, that's probably due to one of two things. One, we're keeping a redstone signal going on into this. Now, that would normally be fine, but this right here, the whole idea of it is to catch the signal, and when all of the other lines are off, to send that signal one more time. So you're defeating the purpose of this being here. And the other thing is, it'll reset itself just fine if you turn the redstone signal off and just pulse it. That's why I'm using a button here. It's just to make sure that I can avoid making the mistake of having the lever on too long. Now if I add redstone here and redstone here, just like over at our farm where I just demonstrated, we're going to have this feeding power into here, which is going to cycle it back around and continually have this on. Now that's not usually a problem, but that's not what we want. Also, it's going to keep the power on for all of these, which means that the piston won't retract. So, a piston only retracts when the Anyway, I wouldn't need that going straight in, just like this, if I had the inverter. Not the inverter, but the repeater. A piston turns off when the signal is off, and it turns on when the signal is on. So what we're basically doing is when that line is on constantly, you're prohibiting the pistons from retracting. So let's go ahead and try just pulsing it with this one. Oh, we jammed the system, because the moment that this repeater got the signal, it turned the whole system back on again. So if we remove this and this repeater is still going to get the signal right here, and it's still going to send it where it needs, but it's going to avoid that whole problem. See? And it's working just fine. Now, to prove that you could do this with a lever, I just flipped it. Not go. There we go. There you go. So yes, you can do it with a lever. Sometimes that's actually ideal. It's just I'm really bad with timing, so. Now, if you're having any problems getting signals in here, that's probably because redstone torches do not travel downwards. They do not. So if I were to... Let's find a way to get this to... No, that won't do it. Okay, well... Will that do it? No. What about that? No. Right, because I need to send it into the block below it. Gotcha. There we go. So then if I were to knock out every other one of these, put torches on them. Well, first of all, nothing's happening. Why is that? Well, this one's stopping this from being on. This one being off is allowing this to be on. This one being on is stopping this from being on. So then this line right here is doing nothing to this, because even if it turned it off, it would not turn this one on. It's already on. If this were to turn that on, still wouldn't do anything, because it's not checking. This one's not checking what's going on above it, it's checking out what's going on below it. So that won't do us any good. So then how do we get the signal to go underground? Well, we're probably going to need to do it with wires. So let's go ahead and cut out a small little area here. Okay, so by turning this on, we turn that on. And then from here, directly next to it, we have to have a repeater. Because if we don't have a repeater, if it's just a wire, it's not going to take the signal. But if we have a repeater, there we go. I know, I'm really bad at flying, okay. If we have a repeater, it will take the signal from this block and send it back through the line. And then you literally build a staircase to get the signal to go down. And then from there, to send the signal anywhere that you want it to. You cannot use the torch system to go down. You can only use the torch system to go up. And that's kind of a cheating way to do it because of the way that redstone works. Now, would it be a good idea to use a button for this as well? Well, if you're really bad at timing like I am, then yes. Which is why I have one here. So if I use a button, I can have the machine do all of my timing for me. Because, as I said, I'm really bad at timing. So the important thing is that this is longer than that, and that you do not have more than one source of redstone going into your reset mechanism. Especially if you're getting power from this in any way, if anything after it goes into the reset button is grabbing signal and powering anything, that's not what you want. It's okay if it's going into the machine, because these repeaters, they also work as diodes, which means it can only go one way. So the signal will never come from those pistons into here. Just make sure that you don't send it from the outside of a repeater and loop it back around. And that has been the tutorial for automated farms and a catch-up on the redstone gate. I have another episode that I'm going to be posting, I'm thinking Wednesday, about mushroom farms. It's going to be really exciting. It's using the mushroom pipe system, and it's always been a challenge for me, but it's always been fun. And I will probably build it block by block for you, but if not, don't be disappointed because you'll have just as much fun building it. Till next time, see you later.